For every problem, guys, there's always a solution. And usually that solution comes as a tool. If you have a nail, you have a hammer. That helps. If you have jeans that are too loose, you have a belt. That helps. And if you have a long distance job, well, you have a car. That's also a tool. Usually breaks down, but then you have another tool for that, which is basically your mechanic, which usually is always kind of crazy with the prices that basically give you. But my point is, right, for every problem, there is a tool. And for when it comes to money problems, I'm going to give you the tools that basically helped me the most. You know, when I was 19 years old, I had a big money problem, okay? And one problem I did not have was basically I didn't have to worry about identity theft because no one wanted to be me. I was a broke college student with no prospects, and on top of that, I was also in crazy debt. And today, I'm still that same guy, but at least today I have a paid off home, a job I love, and on top of that, $1,000 in monthly passive income that continues to go up and go up as I keep repeating and repeating the things that basically help me out the most, okay? So shout out to the tools, but also shout out to God, okay? Because God helps those who help themselves. So hopefully by me sharing these tools with you, these tools will actually help you the same way that they basically help me, okay? And by the way, it's just 5 tools. They're simple. And the goal is by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to do step by step without me skipping any step whatsoever. And also, if you're new here, click the subscribe button, and on top of that, hit the bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And by the way, my name is TommyBryson. How rude of me. I did not introduce myself at the beginning of the video like I usually do. But let's get down to it. What is the first tool? Now, the very first tool, guys, is basically get a budget. And before you say, Tommy, I'm broke, I have no money, the answer is don't wait until you make a lot of money to budget because it doesn't work. You know, I started budgeting when I was making 60 bucks. But before I did that, I was making $2,000 a month and I spent every dollar on trash, okay? The budget is the truth and it tells you exactly what you need to do to get to your goals. That's the idea. So a budget is only a tool to help you to get to your personal financial goals. And the key word here is personal. Stop thinking that because that person is super cheap and super conservative and super frugal, that is what every budget looks like. No, your budget can be very different from mine. So always remember, your budget is personal to you. But again, a budget is the truth. It will reveal the truth, okay? For example, I had a friend. He said, Tommy, I want to make $1 million in 1 year. And then we broke it down. Turns out that $1 million in 1 year is almost earning around $350 an hour for 8 hours a day. And he was like, that's a lot of money. It's around $2,000 or something like that every single day for the entire year. And I was like, are you willing to do that much work to get to that goal? The answer was no. Okay, and he's still successful, yes, but the truth is, the budget is the truth. It tells you what it's going to take to get to whatever your goal actually is. You can go a lot faster or you can go a lot slower, but have a lot more enjoyment out of life, okay? The budget I used when I was first starting out is not the same budget I use now. Back then, it was all about I need to invest, but today, because of those sacrifices, I can enjoy some of the fruits of my labor in a sense and say, hey, I want to buy a new t-shirt. I want to go on vacation. I want to do this activity. I can do it because I can afford it, but it all came from the budget. The budget tells you the truth. So how do you use this tool exactly? The answer is simple. I want you to walk around with a book or a piece of paper because I haven't found a budgeting tool that actually does this correctly and makes sense. And on top of that, a lot of times phones can be very distracting. So I'd rather just use pen and paper, pencil and paper, whatever it is, okay? But walk around with it for a week and write down every time you spend money and categorize it, okay? Say, hey, this is either important or is not important. It's either a want or it's not a want. It's actually in need, okay? So you have to be realistic and honest with yourself and then put that into 4 categories, okay? You have shelter, utilities, groceries, transportation. And obviously the extra one is like health, like Medicaid, insurance, and all that stuff, because you need that to live, and so on and so on. But the idea is those four things are usually going to be the most important parts. And everything that goes outside of that is usually a want. Now then, that is when personal budgets come to your discretion. You pick, okay, what am I willing to cut out? What am I not willing to cut out? When I wanted this so badly, and it's all I thought about, I was willing to cut everything out I didn't need in order to get to my goal a lot faster. That's up to you and what you want. But the whole thing is, the budget is going to guide you. You can't invest, save for emergencies, buy a house, save for a wedding, save for a car without a proper budget, because usually you're just buying and whimming everything. And that's not how you want to walk through life. That's the first tool. It's a tool that changed my life forever. Knowing where I stand with a budget tells me where I can go in life. That's the idea, financially wise, of course. Now, the second tool here is basically how you establish your financial history, in a sense, right? You have a bank account, a savings accounts, and also, for example, a credit account, okay? Credit cards, loans, all that stuff here. Now, I hate to say this, but honestly, people worry about cents instead of dollars, okay? People ask very not important questions instead of worrying about the things that really truly matter in order to get them wealthy. So the idea is, okay, I don't care if Chase gives me 0.1% over the other account that gives me 2%, because if all I have is $1,000, the difference is, oh, I'm gonna get $1 or I'm gonna get $20 in 1 year. It's a big difference, right? But it's $1 and $20. It doesn't really matter because there's not sufficient amount of money there to make a big difference. However, if I had $1 million, 2% of that, it's a big deal because it's a lot more money. But for the average person, these questions really don't matter. So don't chase, oh my gosh, this account right here has an APY of 3% or 2% or 1%, because it's always going to change and you're always chasing the tail of the rabbit and you're never going to catch it. So worry about what truly matters. And here, what matters is basically great customer service, okay? A competitive bank, obviously. On top of that, building credit. And lastly, FDIC insurance, because you don't want to bank with someone that if they go bankrupt, you can't have your money guaranteed to you. Up to $250,000 usually on average. Those are the things right there that really matter. So if you ask me, Tommy, who should I bank with? Bank with a bank, okay, that has great customer service and has very little to no fees. Usually that's not going to be the big banks out there. Usually going to be the online banks. Tommy, which savings accounts should I use? The answer is bank with a savings account that offers competitive rates year round. That means, hey, although you won't always have the best rates, you're going to have competitive rates, because it doesn't make sense to jump from one account to the next account chasing this $1 to $20 difference. It just doesn't make any sense. And thirdly, which credit card should I get? Because I want to build credit, but this one has 3 points, this one has 2 points, this one gives me access to insurance, whatever it is, okay? The answer is get a credit card without an annual fee, because at the end of the day, all you want to do is just establish credit if you think that's important. You don't need credit to buy a home. You don't need credit to buy a car. You don't need credit to get an apartment. All that stuff, in reality, what you really want to do is have a great job, little debt, and when you go apply for those things, they're going to take into consideration and basically approve you based on those financial factors. But it makes the conversation a lot more easier when you do have established credit. So here's what I would do, and here's what I currently do, okay? First of all, I bank with SoFi Money. It's an online bank, no fees whatsoever, allows me to have multiple accounts for multiple savings goals, and on top of that has competitive savings accounts rates, and I also bank with Chase. I put my fund money in Chase so I don't have to worry about, hey, mixing up my money. And when it comes to my credit card stuff, I use Discover and I use Capital One, and I use this very important tool. Listen to this, guys, okay? It's called the one bill method. It means that if I have Capital One, if I have Discover, and if you need a credit, just get a secure credit card with these companies. Google it, YouTube it. I have a video on it. Link is down below also. Alexa the editor. But the idea is, right, if you have Capital One and Discover, the one bill method is simple. Put one bill on each credit card, recurring bill obviously, Netflix, Spotify, and then have that credit card pay itself off in full every single month, and automatically you will build credit without having to have the risk of going into debt. I don't care about getting 1% on points. I don't care about those things. In reality, they get you to spend more money, and in reality, they're penny questions, not dollar questions, okay? They don't make you smarter. They just make it like life a lot more tedious. Oh, this one's gonna give me more points. Doesn't matter to me, okay? That's the second tool right there. Hope it helps you. Now, the third tool is all about investing. So you have brokerage accounts, you have retirement account with your job, and you also have individual retirement accounts for yourself. We call those IRAs. Now, the idea is, okay, again, people complicate this too much, okay? Tommy, who should I invest with? The answer is it's what you invest into that really does matter. And it's not about the company that's going to give you a free stock, which, let's be honest, is just a gamble. And most of the time, you got like $3, okay? $3 worth of some dumb stock that makes absolutely no sense. Like those things, again, penny questions. They don't really matter. However, you're interested in three things: reputation, automation, and also great customer service. If you find those three things in a brokerage account, you're good to go. That is where you want to be. But worrying about they're gonna give me a free stock, and it might be Berkshire Hathaway, which is worth $300,000. The odds are you're probably not gonna get it. I'm just being honest, and I've gotten thousands, well, not thousands, like a few hundred stocks, because I do the whole YouTube thing. I got referrals, and the most I've ever gotten was like $150 from Microsoft, like $200 from Microsoft. Like the odds are not in your favor. Companies do this to win, not for you to win. Like, let's be honest, it's just like a marketing scheme to get people to sign up, and that's all they want. But in reality, the most important thing, again, is gonna come down to what you invest into. So here's my tool here. When it comes to my brokerage account and my individual retirement accounts like Roth IRA and IRA, I use an app called M1 Finance. Great customer service, great reputation, and great with automation. I invest in the same exact things. I put the same amount of money, 20% of my income monthly, and it's done every single month automatically. I'm not worried about it. It's fully automated. That is what I'm looking for, and that is why I use M1 Finance. For my normal work-related retirement account, I use Vanguard. Vanguard is the oldest. Vanguard invented the index fund, which, by the way, if you don't know, is like that example when you buy an index, instead of buying one stock, you buy the whole thing, and that way you're more diversified. That's the idea. They invented that concept. Like, they are amazing. Like, low cost index funds, they did that. So I love index funds. I love Vanguard, and that's why I use them for that. But I love automation, and that's why I use M1 Finance for my taxable accounts and my individual retirement accounts. That's it. That's the idea. Not complicated at all. That's what I do. And what do I invest into? Read a book. It's called The Little Book About Common Sense Investing by John C. Bogle. Here it is right here. But if you want to copy what I invest into, I have a link down below to M1 Finance. When you click it, it shows you exactly what I invest my money into. And again, I invest 20% of my monthly income. I only did this after I was done paying off all of my consumer debt. And on top of that, I also had a fully funded emergency account. The worst thing to do is to invest a few dollars, have to take it out because basically you're broke and you need the money. Don't do that. Focus on what matters first. Pay off the debt, save for emergencies. Something happens, you have money for that, so you don't have to dig into your investments. That is the idea. Now, the fourth rule is all about when you buy a home, how do you buy it to make sure you can have it and own it as fast as possible? Again, when I was 19 years old, I was fairly stupid, okay? Made a lot of mistakes. This is why I'm making this video, so that way you don't make those same mistakes. But when I was 19 years old, I wanted to buy a mansion, okay? most likely like every average teenager out there, I wanted a mansion. And in reality, I thought I was being fairly conservative. I wanted a mansion that cost around $2 to $3 million. And I said that's pretty cheap because 50 Cent got one for like $7 to $10 million. So I'm being conservative here. You know, a bunch of bedrooms, bunch of bathrooms. But in reality, once I cracked down on the math and it said, well, on a 30-year mortgage, 20% down is going to be $400,000. I was like, wait, what? $400,000 for the down payment? And on top of that, my monthly payments are going to be around almost nearly $10,000 a month. I was like, that's insane. That's crazy. And that's not including the maintenance of the property and all of my other expenses. Because if you live in a neighborhood like that, imagine the cars you have to drive, the food you have to buy, the places you have to go to, right? Because it's only fair. So that dream evaporated once I did the math, okay? That's why I like pen and paper. When you write things down, it really does make sense. And by the way, it's not to say that owning a mansion is a bad thing or it's an impossible thing, but one thing for me is the budget tells you the truth. It tells you what it takes. I was not willing to buy something for $2 million, $400K down payment, $10,000 a month for 30 years when I was seeing my grandpa struggle trying to pay his little mortgage. That's not what I wanted. I focused on what really matters. And what really matters is basically you want to have a home. Yeah, want to buy it, but you want to own it in full. You want it to be yours. It gives you security. It lowers your cost of living. And lastly, real estate often is a pretty good investment. So all those things align. So I created the 33% rule on a 15-year mortgage. What does this mean? It means that, for example, whatever your income is, you multiply it by 33%, and that is going to be your budget for that home, including the mortgage, the taxes, PMI insurance, and everything else. That is the idea, especially the maintenance. Don't forget about that, okay? Because homes are expensive, okay? But when you look at it, guys, okay, this means if you make $5,000 a month, well, that's a lot. $5,000 a month, multiplied by 0.33, your budget is $1,650. But out of here, you got to get a 15-year mortgage. You got to get your insurance payments. You got to get your taxes. You got to get your maintenance. And you got to get everything associated with this property to actually make sure it's within your budget. When you buy this property, one rule is you have to have your debts paid off, consumer debts. You have to have an emergency fund because if something happens to you, you want to pay this. On top of that, you have to keep investing 10 to 20% of your money into your retirement account. And if you do things correctly, you should have extra money to send to this mortgage and be done instead of 15 years in 10 years, okay? And that's the idea. The home I bought, surprisingly and funny enough, is 8.5% of the value of the mansion that I wanted when I was 19 years old. And I'm like, this house is pretty big. Like, what am I going to do here, you know? I got it for $130,000. I'm going to put $40,000 into it. That's $170 all in. That's the idea. No mortgage. That's awesome. On top of that, there's a rule here that says you don't have to pay property taxes either. Even more awesome. That's the idea. So the goal is to own, not to have a home and to be paying off for 20 years or 30 years and then be like, that's not really what the goal is. Focus on the goal, not the little trinkets that come with it. Now, the fifth tool, guys, and the final tool is going to be saving up for big expenses. You know, buying a car, getting married, having your first kids. All these things, they're wonderful, but they're also expensive, okay? And they are expenses. So the idea is only one rule here: always pay cash. When you're buying a car, pay cash. When you're paying for a wedding, pay cash. When you're paying for your kids' stuff, pay cash. And people fall into this idea that because I want it and because I'm able to borrow money, it means I should borrow money. And they'll land themselves in a situation where they spend their entire lives trying to pay for something that was a great moment, but they shouldn't have done it that way. So again, if you want a car, pay cash for it. Make sure no more than like half your income is spent on a car. So if you make $50,000, don't buy a car that's over $25,000. It makes no sense. And when you're gonna buy it, you save up for it. If you can't afford the 25K car, well, you save up 5,000 or 3,000 or 1,000 or 800, and you buy the car you can afford. Yes, it's not gonna be the best one. Yes, it's not gonna be the most reliable one, but it's gonna be yours. That's the main difference. People have this mixed up situation where it's not reliable, it's inconvenient, so I have to buy a brand new car for $30,000 and I'm still broke. Don't do that. It's not what you want to do. My car, $9,000 Toyota Prius. Don't like it, but it works. And then when it comes to wedding, same thing. Save up for it. One little tool and trick I do, guys, is basically whatever it is I want, I divide it by 52 because you have 52 weeks in a year. And that tells me, hey, every paycheck, I need to save up this much money to get to that in 1 year. Practice longevity. Practice delayed gratification. That is what makes true successful people successful. They're able to pause and get to where they want to go in a good manner, where they don't have to take so much risk. And lastly, never forget, education is key. You're on YouTube right now watching a guy talk about money and tools. So I think you care about your education. So use Audible, use Kindle, use thrift books, use church, use relationships, use whatever you can to learn and explore. And don't just trust anybody. Confirm things also. Once you watch this video, you watch it again over and over again. Take the time to go out there and confirm everything I say. Go out there and try it. I'll see you guys next time though. Thanks for watching. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified, and on top of that also, if you want to call me and talk to me one-on-one, link down below. If you want to DM me on Instagram at TommyBryson. Here is another video, and here is my face. Click and subscribe. Long-term team officially